we're back. I actually had a to be continued. I should have ended that last one. To be continued, but whatever. So welcome back, Pop Culture Connection. We have a very special episode, if you will. If you listened to part one, which I hope you did, because then none of this is going to make sense. I have a buddy of mine, longtime friend, Anthony Ripo. We've done prior podcasts before, The Retro Gamer, but now he's embarking on his biggest project to date, television project, Rumpel4Skin. Anthony, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right, this program's still working. Fantastic. So so where we left off, the first part of this, we're just talking, kind of catching up, the history of us, history of you, where this project Rumpel4Skin is, the genesis of it, and pretty much where we're at right now. Last we left off, we were talking about an amazing cast and crew that you have working on this project. Their IMDb repertoire, if you will, is phenomenal.
Yeah, I honestly can't give them enough credit. I really can't. And I didn't even talk to you about the crew, but it's just, if you look up the wealth of experience that both the cast and the crew from Rumpel4Skin had, it's just it's just mind-boggling to think about. I got to work with these people.
Yeah, right. And no disrespect to anyone. Is there anyone else you want to kind of give a shout out real quick about the whole project before we get into the whole Kickstarter campaign?
I guess, the one person I did not talk about.
And that was my fault, by the way, because we're running out of time. So not his. That was
No, it's perfectly fine. I didn't, I wasn't expecting us to have such a long conversation, but I guess there's a lot to talk about when you're shooting a television show. So, but one person I did want to also mention, and he was on our crew, was our DP, director of photography, Dylan O'Brien. And Dylan also was on board as a co-producer as well. And Dylan, he's been working in the industry for his entire career, and having somebody on set with that much experience in terms of how to get the show to look the way it needs to look is just it's something you really can't teach. You just learn it. You just learn it on your own. And having somebody like that, like Dylan, who's worked on the Discovery Channel, the History Channel, A&E, Spike TV. He's worked on PBS. He did a feature film a couple of years ago called Raise, which you can. I'm pretty sure you can buy and download online. I believe it's on Netflix. I don't remember which year it was, but it screened at the Tribeca Film Festival.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Even so, yeah, absolutely, very, 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 very talented man, and we definitely benefited a lot from his expertise.
Good, awesome, and again, awesome cast, awesome crew. But now let's get right into the push of the whole situation. You've and your crew there started a Kickstarter campaign for this project.
Yes, we did. Well, there wasn't initially there wasn't going to be a need for a Kickstarter campaign. We had budgeted everything, and again, we were working with a very, very small budget. So we had made sure to budget everything properly so that we can get this done and get it through post without an issue. But of course, with any production, there will be hiccups. And probably the biggest setback that we had faced was we were set to shoot. We were set to shoot one of the big scenes for the day was Guy's bedroom scene, okay. And it was a Saturday shoot. We had everything lined up. We had the cast and crew lined up. The call sheet went out. Call sheet is, if you don't know, the call sheet is just literally a sheet you send out to all the cast and crew ahead of time and letting them know, here's the time that we're meeting, here are the scenes that we're shooting, here's the contact information, here's the weather for the day. Literally, it's like a catch-all on one page of what's going on for that day. And so we had needed a good number of props for that day. So Joe had borrowed some furniture from his office to use for one of the scenes, and he had rented a U-Haul truck, and Loaded it up the night before. I believe we also had a bed mattress in there. Compliments of Craigslist, because we weren't going to buy we didn't have the budget to buy a new mattress to do what we needed.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah. So basically, he rented a U-Haul, loaded all this stuff up on Friday night for Saturday morning. I had actually gone down to the location Friday night and stayed over to do some prep work Friday night, because the location was actually a house of a friend of mine. He had been gracious enough to help us out. So again, when you're dealing with a micro budget, that's where you go to family and friends and say, hey, can you,
low cost provider.
Exactly. Can you do me a favor, type of thing? And since my family's all in New York, I had to go to friends. And all of my friends were more than willing to help out. I can't. We can get into that a little bit later, but so anyway, we had, so he had this U-Haul loaded up Friday night, and then Saturday morning, I wake up, I get up, it's like 6 a.m. and I get a phone call from Joe, and Joe proceeds to tell me that in the night, somebody stole the U-Haul truck.
No.
Yeah.
Real? Oh my God.
Yes. They stole the U-Haul truck with everything in it, all the furniture, all of the props we needed for that day. God. He went outside in the morning, and all he found was the broken glass, because they broke the U-Haul window to get in.
God. That's L.A. for you, folks. Stay on the East Coast.
So, because that never happens anymore. Never. So then it's 6 at this point now. It's like 6:30 a.m. Our call time is 8 a.m. So in about 90 minutes, we have, we're supposed to start production.
And you got to get everything.
Right.
Oh,
well, no, at this point, what happened was there was no way to shoot that day. So I had to call everybody before they got on the road, because the location was roughly, like, for most people, about a 30 or 45-minute drive.
Okay.
So I had to get on the phone, call everybody, and tell them that, we had to cancel for that day, because we didn't have what we needed to shoot. There was no backup furniture. There was none of that stuff. So we just had to cancel that day.
Yeah. Well, the last thing you expected is about to happen.
Oh yeah, exactly. So. I mean, it was just a random misfortune. We did find out later that they did find the U-Haul truck 2 days later.
Oh, okay. Well, good for U-Haul.
Yeah, great for U-Haul. But everything inside the truck was taken.
Oh, jeez.
So not only was poor Joe, not only were we on the hook for losing a day of production, and to lose a day of production, there was a lot, there was money invested for that day and whatnot. So we literally, we lost a chunk of our budget from that day. But also, poor Joe, we had to replace the office furniture.
Oh yeah. Oh my
because
God.
he had borrowed it from his job.
Yeah.
So that was a big ding. Because if offices, they usually have nice furniture.
Oh yeah. Oh
so,
my God.
Yeah. So that was probably one of our biggest setbacks. And at that point, our micro budget became, micro. So we had to add on. So we wound up having to add on a day of shooting. So then we had to rebudget for another day, and that took its toll and whatnot. But outside of that, when we were shooting at the time, everything was great. We got all the shots we needed. The cast was good. The crew was really good. There was another instance where, unfortunately, we had to add another day of production on, because one day ran really long and there was no way we were going to shoot everything we needed to for that day. So we had to tack on another day there. So we added 2 days of production while we were shooting. And that kind of hit us, that hit our budget kind of hard.
Yeah.
And then, so once we wrapped everything up, we were like, okay, great. We've got it wrapped up. We'll move forward with post-production, because we still, at that point, I think we still had we had enough money that I thought we could maybe scrape by with post-production. But then when we got to doing a rough edit of the show, we discovered that the ending wasn't quite working the way we wanted it to. and
alternate ending now.
Right. So and then when you're working on a show or when you're working on anything, it's like, with any movie or television show you watch, there are pieces where you're like, okay, that wasn't the best scene in the world,
right.
but
I'm sure that's all factored in. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all factored in, but it's not, maybe not all factored in.
Well, you know what I mean.
In other words, it's like
expected.
There are places where you can survive.
Yes.
Basically, where it's like, okay, it achieved its purpose. It wasn't the strongest, but it achieved its purpose. But when your ending is bad and you're going out, that's the last thing your audience is going to see.
Yeah, true.
It doesn't bode well for the show as a whole. So we had decided that we needed to go back and shoot a new ending. So then Joe worked on a new ending. And then at that point, that's when I got a phone call for a job offer in New York. I had actually wound up on the writing staff at WWE, which I know you already know.
Yeah, it was the greatest year of my life.
Benefited from greatly for the time I was there. But anyway, so I moved to New York for a little over a year to work at WWE. In the meantime, Joe was out here trying to work with the footage and shoot the new ending. While I was gone, unfortunately, the ending never got shot. So when I moved back to LA after I had left, after I had decided I want to leave WWE because I want to finish shooting this show. We had invested so much time, so much effort, and so much money at that point. It would have been a travesty to just let it die. Let it die a horrible death at that point.
Yeah, right. Then it'll turn itself into a horror movie again.
Right. Exactly.
So let me ask you a question then. The time that you were in New York, when you were working for WWE in New York, I mean, was anything like that? Were they able to do any sort of production or anything like that on the show?
Well, they were still working on it in post production. They were basically editing the cut down as best they could to kind of capture what we wanted. And that's when at that point they knew the ending wasn't there. The ending wasn't going to work, but they still wanted to piece the rest of it together to make sure everything else worked.
Yeah,
because ideally, if you're going to go back and do some reshoots, it's best to find out how much reshooting you want to do. In other words, like maybe it's not just the ending you want to reshoot. Maybe there's another piece that's not working that you feel like it needs reshooting. So while I was gone, a lot of that was going on.
Okay.
And ultimately it was decided that we really just needed to go back and shoot a new ending, which is what happened.
Gotcha.
So when I got back to Los Angeles this year, I put my producer hat back on, and we scheduled everything and got together and we shot the new ending, and we feel like the new ending works great. It's definitely more in line with the show.
Good.
And what we wanted to get. But at that point, we had spent all our money. So
thus, Kickstarter.
Thus, hello, Kickstarter, the savior of our show, hopefully.
And real quick before we forget, and I'm going to post the links and everything in the descriptions and stuff, but pretty much where can they go to? I mean, I guess short of Kickstarter.com and do a search for Rumpel4Skin.
Right.
And that's the number 4 skin.
Right. So it's you have to spell it out for people only because it's not spelled the way you would think it would be. So it's RUMPEL, the number 4, and then SKIN. Gotcha. So if you do a search on Kickstarter for Rumpel4Skin, you'll see our project, you'll see our pitch video.
Best pitch video ever, in my opinion.
Oh God. Okay. So remember I said in the previous podcast, when I was doing We're Seeing Someone, I acted in that piece, and after that I decided not to get in front of a camera again. Well, now we're fast-forwarding 6 years, and if you watch the Kickstarter video, you will see me front and center.
But no spoilers, but especially if knowing you for as long as I've known you, it was the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Well, of course it was the greatest thing for you, because you get to take advantage and make fun of me for it. But anyway... the Kickstarter video also contains a rough cut of our trailer.
Yes, which is very nice. It was very good. I'm not just saying this because you're on here. I mean, I've seen the trailer, and it's definitely funny. And you're right. You can see it right on the Kickstarter campaign page.
Yeah. So now we're just we're on Kickstarter right now. We're looking to raise $5,000 to just finish the film up and start sending it out there. I feel like it's a modest number, it's an attainable number, and it's a realistic number. It's like, we're not looking for 25 or 30 grand or 50 grand to go hire some super expensive person. We're just looking for somebody. We're just looking for the exact money we need to get the job done.
And not being in the biz as I'm not. I would have thought like it would take like 30, 40 grand or something like that. So, definitely. I think 5,000. Well,
if this was an actual television show, sure, it would take that much. Like, you know what I mean? When I say actual, I mean like a studio back television show. But at the same time, we will also want to be on Kickstarter trying to raise money. So.
Definitely. And again, we're going to post that. I'll post the link. Now, everyone knows Kickstarter. I'm not saying we would go level by level, but what is kind of some of the fun? Because they have, I guess, are they called prizes? I forget what they call them on Kickstarters. I guess just incentives.
I think they're pledges or incentives or rewards or something of that nature.
We'll call them rewards.
I mean, I've been going with rewards on it. So in other words, if you donate a certain amount, you get a reward. So.
Yeah. Of course, the higher the donation, of course, the bigger the reward. But what just kind of out of order, what are some of the things that you got on there that people can look forward to?
Okay, well, I mean, you can again any donation is more than welcome, and we'll be very thankful. And our donation amounts start at like $5. Mm-hmm. So it's like if you can spare $5, hey, great. If you can spare a little bit more, that's cool too. We'll be more than happy to accept any donation. But our levels have some standard stuff, like the lower level is like kind of like you'll get like a thank you email written by Buster Hyman himself, which I'm sure will be more than entertaining. To a digital or DVD copy of the show. You can get a signed script, you can get a signed poster. Those are the more lower level things. The higher level ones would obviously be like an associate producer, or executive producer on the show. Those are the really high.
Yeah, those are usually, I've seen those from before. Yeah, those are
good
stuff, though.
So those are the real high ones. But then we tried to be a little bit more fun with a couple of our prizes to make them a little bit tailor made to the show. Mm-hmm. So one of the levels would be like a T-shirt that I'm sure you're going to be more than familiar with. But
everyone do the T-shirt level. I'm telling you right now. Watch the video on Kickstarter. You'll see why.
So one of the characters in our show likes to wear T-shirts with memes on them. So we have 2 of those meme T-shirts available for purchase. One of them
through the Kickstarter.
Yes, through the Kickstarter. And those memes were actually, I couldn't go online and just get memes. I wanted to get permission from people to do the memes. So I will personally thank you, Larry, for agreeing to be one of the memes. And I will and more importantly, I need to personally thank my older sister and her husband for letting me use my nephew on the other meme. And when I did that, they didn't know exactly what I was going to write on the meme. So I'll thank them double now that they've seen it.
I got a quick story because you told me about the whole meme situation when you were filming.
Yeah.
It's a photo of me, and then the wording, which you can see on the Kickstarter video. The photo of me was taken about 2 years prior, which I also used as my Christmas card that year.
Yes, I do remember that. and I still have the Christmas card.
And when you told me about it, I was like, "How can I say no? How can I reject that?"
Yes, and it's an awesome shirt. It really is. I love it, and I can't wait to get one for myself. Awesome. That's a really cool level. There are 2 other levels that are also like really tailor made to the show and are just awesome. One is if you pay a certain amount, you can get a 6-pack of Rumpel4Skin condoms.
There you go.
It makes sense. I mean, we're here talking about a show with with a guy, with a guy and a girl and sexual issues and things like that. So condoms just made the most sense. And then probably my personal favorite, and I'm sure it's yours as well, the Rumpel4Skin PC game.
When I saw that, I saw the Kickstarter campaign before we started doing this, and when I saw that was the last thing on my mind I would ever expect to come out of this is a PC game.
Well, and you know what? To be honest with you, it was probably one of the last things on my mind too. I never thought like it would be like, oh, hey, why don't we make a video game? It could be funny, but it just so happened that we have a very talented person who is in the show. He does not have a large role; he has a small role in the show, but every role is important.
Of course.
He also happens to be a coder, and he does computer coding. So.
Okay.
When we were talking about the prize levels and coming up with something unique, he had said, we had come around to the idea, and we were talking with him about it, about doing a video game. And by the way, his name is Mike Reynolds. You can look him up on Twitter and everything. Mike Reynolds actually is he's a writer in our writers group. He acted in the show, but he's also a very talented author. He's written several novels. He's very, very, very good writer, and I couldn't recommend him enough. Very entertaining work. So so once he approached us about doing a video game, I was like, well, is it going to take up like 10,000 hours of your time, because we don't want to put you out. But he was more excited about doing it or as excited about doing it as we were when we heard the idea. So he just went off and started working on it, and he, I think within a week he's like, all right, he's like, here you go. And we looked at the first pass of it, and we were like, oh God. This is just well. First thing out of my mind was, "Oh God, this is so wrong," and the second thing is, "This is perfect."
Awesome. All right, sweet. So there, and definitely, like I said, follow the link. That will follow along with this. Definitely donate, as you heard from Anthony. Any donation is a welcomed donation, and also just get the word out there as well. Oh, what?
No, I was just going to say we're equal opportunity donation. It doesn't matter what you donate.
Oh yeah, and not only donation, just word of mouth as well. Hit that share button on the page. Get that out there for these guys. They definitely.
And I was going to say that's one of the more important things too. Like a lot of my friends, like I talk to online and stuff like that, they're like, oh yeah, we'd really like to help out, but right now, money is an issue and whatnot, and we totally get that. I mean, financially, some people can't do it, and we totally understand. But the most important thing we need right now is just to get the word out there. So it's like hitting that share button on any post that you see about the Kickstarter, or just linking it yourself and whatnot. That could lead to, that can speak volumes Definitely. More than a small donation. So
Definitely.
So it's like, if you can't help out monetarily, just any type of share, sharing links and stuff like that, sharing our Twitter feed and things like that. That would mean the world to us.
Awesome. And do you have? And I mean, I'm knocking on wood. I'm crossing fingers. I'm cutting every foot off of a rabbit that I see. What are you looking for as far as do you have like a release date or anything? Or I guess you would call it a release date or something for when this is all said and done.
Well, ultimately, I think what we're going to do at this point is, anybody who donates will obviously get a copy of the show, and we're thinking once the money is in and the holidays are over, we'll be able to focus on it completely. We're aiming for February to get it done.
Right.
So we're thinking, the Kickstarter ends mid-December. The holidays are going to kick in at that point, or and then we'll circle back and get really down and dirty with it. After New Year's.
And only because, like, when I've heard other on larger radio shows, talk about future projects, they really can't go into details. So I'm not going to ask you to go into detail, but like, are you aiming for any like particular network? You don't have to mention it, but are you aiming for any particular network? Have you like sent anything out to them? I'm just kind of curious how any of that's working.
Well, yeah, I mean, we actually are we have developed a marketing plan for the show,
okay,
and how we plan on pitching it, and we do have our eye on several different networks.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, we already do have that plan in place, and we're also trying to figure out like how to do different campaigns for it, what festivals, going the festival circuit with it as well, because if we can submit it at festivals, and get some eyes on it there, I mean, we think that'll help boost the chances of getting the show sold.
Cool. And no, I mean, this is awesome. And like I said, on a personal level, knowing you for 20 years, to see you finally. Well, all right, hold on. Personally speaking, to see you working at WWE was awesome. But beyond
I know you love that.
For me personally, that was great. But just to see you at this point right now, is absolutely phenomenal. I couldn't be any happier for you. Good luck to you. Good luck to Joe, to everyone. And I'm really looking forward to seeing this happen, especially because I even saw a little bit of the behind the scenes of how this all goes into effect. A couple years ago, I came out to visit you in L.A.
I do remember.
It may have been 2012 or 2013. Maybe in 2013, actually.
I think it was 2013.
Yeah. So I flew out. I out here on Long Island. So I flew out. We were going to hang out. SummerSlam was out there and stuff like that. So
before I worked for WWE,
of course. So how dare you? So I remember you telling me, like, look, when I pick you up that morning, we have a production meeting we got to do. If you don't mind sitting in on it, and I think you were worried I thought it'd be kind of boring. But I
definitely was.
I'm like, what am I going to do anyway? I'm out in L.A. That's all right, no problem. You picked me up. The least I can do is sit through a meeting. But when we got there, when I got back to your apartment, it was you, Joe, Dan, and
Maram.
Yes, I'm sorry. I knew there was one more. Because later on...
How could you forget Maram?
Because I was trying to play it off like I pretended. Anyway, then I know that his parents showed up later on to do a table read, I think.
Yes.
But just to sit there to watch you guys... I just sat in the corner to watch you guys hash out, ideas, thoughts, reading through the script, what works, what doesn't work. On top of that, just setting up the call sheets and everything. It was just... I personally got a kick out of it just to see, because you never see that part of it, and I thought that was pretty sweet to watch.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I was going to say a lot of people don't see those pieces because that's the real drudgery and the actual work that gets involved. I mean, there's so much work that needs to be done up front before you even get to set. Mm-hmm. And set days, trust me, set days are long and they are exhausting, and a ton of work goes in there. But there's so much to do before you even walk onto set. That, to be honest with you, it is a lot of, I mean, it's just labor intensive, and frankly, a lot of it isn't very interesting. It's like, oh, look, I got to sit down and write another spreadsheet. Oh, look, I got to go adjust the budget because we didn't foresee an expense and we need to pull the money from somewhere else and move it over here and things like that. It's like all those types of things because you need to have all of that lined up completely, so that you can get through the shoot. And and it's just a lot of those things that people don't realize. And
a lot. And then later on, character-wise, guy's parents came over, and then you guys, did a table read. Went through that. The three of you, five of you at that point. Yep. But it was just really, really fun to watch. And then the best part about it, you guys were, I guess that day you were going through costumes. Just discussing costumes.
Yes, we were.
And so, you guys do, listen, 100% professional. Don't get me wrong. I'm the one who's going to probably sound like an idiot. But you guys, just doing the photos, and it was for Dr. Han. So, she went in, changed, came out in her psychiatrist outfits and stuff like that. So, and then you guys were talking about it, what's going to work for what scenes. So, here's the picture. Drop-dead, gorgeous woman, trying on different, business outfits. In the room is the director, the producer, the head male actor, and the guy who just got off the plane from New York just about an hour and a half ago. Just kind of taking it all in.
And speaking of taking it all in, it took you a very long time before you were able to pick your tongue up off the floor.
Well, yes, I'll say that with absolutely no problem. And I'm going, this is the greatest day of my life. I have nothing to do with this project. But it was awesome. Very fun. With that being said, I think we'll get ready to wrap this up. You want to, Ant, I'm pretty sure you're out there, social media and everything. Where can people try and reach you or reach out for the movie itself, TV show?
Yeah, so you can look me up by name, Anthony Ripo, on Facebook, and I'm always on there and I'm always updating on information. There is a Rumpel4Skin Facebook page that will have steady updates of everything that's going on with the project right now. Of course, the most important thing that's up on there is our Kickstarter link. If you go to Kickstarter and you search for Rumpel4Skin, and again, it's RUMPEL, the number 4, SKIN.
I'm going to link all of this as well, just give you a heads up, definitely.
Yeah. And much appreciated. Our there's only one project on Kickstarter called Rumpel4Skin's. You can imagine why. So it'll come up pretty quickly. And then if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's we have I have a Twitter page which is Matsusu28. And Larry, I know you know the history of Matsusu. It's just a name I made up. So Matsusu28. And then for the show itself, we have Rumpel4Skin Show. That's our official Twitter handle. And then if you want to have a little bit of fun following the characters, you can follow Buster Hyman on Twitter at Buster Hyman Now. And if you want to get some awful sexual therapy advice from Dr. Han, you can look her up on Twitter at Dr. Han MD. So it's DRHAHN MD.
I will be going there because even horrible advice is still good advice right here.
Oh, and she'll give you some good advice, I'm sure.
Well, with that being said, Ant, thank you very much. I know you're all the way out there in LA, but thank you for taking time here to certainly discuss a project near and dear to your heart. And
thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's it's actually it's great to just sit down and talk to an old friend, but to do something like this is really special.
Definitely. So good luck with everything. And
thank you.
Ant, thank you very much.
Much appreciated.
No problem. And everyone, thank you again for downloading the show. And keep downloading them. And you know where to find me everywhere, on every possible social media. More365, MOHR365. See you next time.